morning, good morning. I just want to let Brian and Brenda know that I was coming to their house tonight. But since they're not buying a new TV, I think I'll just stay home, and watch the little one, watch it on my phone, all that kind of stuff. Just messing with y'all. Okay, I've been learning some new things. We're going to talk about, I don't know if you're broke. I hope you're not, but I'm going to try to fix broke. Is that okay? What does that guy say? You can't fix stupid, but you can fix broke? Is that kind of what it is? I forgot the guy's name. It says something like that. But I just made that up, most of it. But anyway, I learned some stuff from my daughter this week. She's 14. Her name is Faith. A lot of you are new. You don't know that. She's going to be 15 like this month, and she's going to be driving. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But so here's what you have to do. I don't know what I'll tell you what it means. You just have to do it, okay? You have to look at the person next to you and you say, "You're looking like the whole snack." You want to hear that? I can't tell you everything, but it does mean that you look good. Is that right? Okay, that's very good. That's the only thing I really know. I'm not going to go any more than that. Listen, I want you to get your outlines out. We're going to start doing fill-ins. And that will help you, because most of you are going to forget. This is what we know. I have about 20 to 25 minutes of your attention this morning. So after that, I'm just talking to myself, okay? And then you forget most of everything you hear by Wednesday. So if you have something to write it down on, you can look at it again. Is that good? So get that out if you would. And you're going to see the fill-ins on the screen up here as I get moving. And you can do all that. If you're watching on the internet and not right now, you can go ahead and just get something and write it down, and you'll see it unfold as we go, that kind of thing. So, couple of things. I don't want you to be broke. Is that good? I'd like for you to have money and probably more than what you have, that kind of thing. I don't think I want to give all of you $1 million today. We'll talk about that. $1 million. If I give you too much, it might mess you up. But most of you are willing to try, correct? Is that okay? That's what I thought. So let's try to do something spiritual with it, and I'll read it to you. In Proverbs 21:5, before I give you the $1 million, here's what I need you to think about. The plans of the diligent lead to profit, as surely as haste leads to poverty. So, with no plan, you will probably be poor. Does that make sense? Okay, and most people just kind of live day to day or week to week, that kind of thing. If something really happens to you, if you lose your job, that kind of thing, you're in big trouble. And so I'm going to try to help you figure out some things. This isn't really about me trying to get money from you. I'm going to do something for you. I really want to help you not to be broke, because it's not any good for anybody for you to be broke. I'm just telling you. And when it comes to the stuff that we do, when it comes to moving the kingdom and the church, that kind of thing, we have to be able to give in order to move the kingdom. Let me give you some stuff that I had to figure out when I was sitting where you are. This was before I became a pastor, a long time before I became pastor. I was not involved as far as in a role as getting paid at a church. I was a volunteer, that kind of thing. And a lot of times they would talk about money, and it wasn't so much about tithing and giving and that kind of thing, but they would just talk about money. And I never thought about it like I was supposed to do something with that. I don't know it didn't register with me. I didn't know I was supposed to give to the church, because we have this thought that, and I want to help you with this, that if I'm not giving and I'm not doing something outside the church, something bigger than all of us is going to take care of us. And that's not true. Whatever you give is how we pay bills and how we move kingdom. So that was something I had to catch on to when I was growing up in church, that kind of thing. I realized that, you think there's a big church or a big organization that's going to step in. No, you're on your own. You're on your own. And this is what we do. So everything that happens, so Marathon is going to go how you go. The kingdom is going to go how you go. So if you're broke, then the church is broke, and nothing can happen, because it takes money to move things and to move people. And it's done that way on purpose, by the way. God set it up that way. So we got to understand that, somebody's not taking care of us. It's us. The other thing is that God wants us to be generous. That's just who we're supposed to be. And here's the problem with that. Most of you are broke. And so when you say, well, I need you to be generous or whatever, I'll tell you some things that I do in just a moment and show you some stuff that happens. In the next 3 weeks, we're going to try to fix broke, if that's all right with you. And I'll tell you some things God said to do and how it's supposed to work. Because I think the other myth is that God just wants all of your money. No, God just wants all of your heart. It isn't about the money at all. And so, again, can God trust you? We'll talk about that. And can you trust Him when it comes to money? That kind of thing. So I had to go through all those processes and steps that I'm telling you right now, even as a Christian, to figure out, does God trust me? Do I trust God? Is it really true that God's going to supply my needs? All this stuff had to be thought about. I had to work through all of it. And I'll tell you what I figured out, and I'll try to help you, because I did not like living broke. My daughter came to me, she's 14, and she says, Daddy, okay, I don't want, I teach her about money, try to help her, but I need to know exactly what I need to do when I get to college or when I get out of college. So the first thing I told her is, I'm going to tell you, you have to live on 80% of what you take in. If you live on 80% of what you make, including, power bills, gas, everything, 80%, you will have money and you will not have crisis. And this is the problem that most people have. You shoot for too much, and then you don't have anything. Because what happens when you get things and money and, houses and lands and all that kind of stuff, then the thing that you really want to do the most and the thing that you really love, you won't be able to do, because you're going to have to pay for something. And so that's something you have to think about. So I'm teaching her to live on 80%. Save 10, give 10. That's what I'm teaching her to do. So if you could start out that way, that will help you. So we're going to be watching this and walking through, I was broke, but now I'm not. I want you to remember that. Say this with me. I was broke, but now I'm not. Has anybody ever been college broke? Raise your hand. You know what college broke is, right? I mean, like you, my roommate and I went to Winthrop University. It was a college then. That's how old I am. And so I went there, and we would go, and we would get you remember the newspaper? They used to have like specials in there. I don't think they do that now. Because I didn't see any this morning. But every Sunday, right after church, go get the specials. And if mac and cheese was on sale, that's what we're doing. You know what I'm talking about? It's that kind of college broke. My dad would actually come in. He was driving the truck. He would come in to Rock Hill, and he'd take us all out to Ryan's. I still don't know how I got in touch with him. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how I got in touch with Dad. I'm like, we didn't have cell phones. We did have pay phones. Y'all remember that, right? There was no email, no text. I don't know if it's like we just sent it to heaven and God just sent it to him. That kind of thing. I don't know. So I remember being college broke. And what I'm trying to do is get you out of just being completely broke, living from week to week, day to day, month to month, that kind of thing. Because that's the hard part. It's shifting down to where you can actually give and help people. And it's not all about just giving it all to God. It's about helping people. And you can't do that. And you can't make that happen if you don't have any money. And it's the most fun in the world to be able to help people who don't need help even. I buy my friends things and do stuff for them when they don't even need it. It's because that I can. So we're going to look at this as we walk through. I was broke, now I'm not. And I remember having looking at the first thing was talking about, God owns it all. This is going to help you. God owns everything. So I'm going to shift your thinking about money from like not having it and not being broke, but how to use it. And then we're going to talk about, as the weeks to come, how to get more of it. Is that cool for y'all? Because I don't really want you broke anymore. I don't want the churches as broke. I don't want anything broke. So here we go. God owns everything, including my house. And you'll figure this out. When you die, by the way, somebody else is going to move in. So whatever you think you own, you don't own. And so God owns it all. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. Did y'all fill that in for me? Just shake your head like you did. That's very good. Those on the internet, thank you so much. So this is what you have to understand. God does own it all. He owns everything. And so let me say this. I made a promise. Why do we do this as parents? I do not know. I made a promise to my daughter, if you make straight A's, that I would get you a makeup, whatever. And here's what, let me just, side note, how many makeup brushes does it take to make a 14-year-old happy? Is anything, okay, there we go. There we go. She knows all of it, and I remember she asked Mama, how do you put on your foundation? Is that right? And she said, I use my finger, and Faith had to went in a coma. Like that. So I had this thought. I said, if you make straight A's, I'm going to take you, and I'm going to go ahead and take you to IKEA in Charlotte. Anybody been to IKEA in Charlotte? They should have a ride in there. They should have a ride. And so what happened was, so I decided to do this. She went to Pinterest, all this stuff. She figured out what kind of makeup thing. I was very proud of her. It's going to be cheap. So I get into IKEA, scared to death. You have to go with the flow, because if you get out of the flow, then you can get hurt. You know what I'm talking about? So you don't really need to know where you're going. Just kind of go with the people where they go. There's an upstairs and a downstairs. Everybody got that? Okay, so, and you really can't touch anything and put it, all right? You can in this one area downstairs. I figured out you could touch it. But upstairs, you have to take pictures of it. And you take a picture of it, and then you bring it downstairs, and you show this lady, okay, this is what I want. Then she prints out this little printout. Then you go get in this big old line, and there's like 100 lines. They're all, if you haven't been to IKEA, this is an amazing thing. It looks like Disney World, but no rides. It really does. And so they're all in line, and I go, and we get in, we pay, and now we got all that done, and then we have to go to another spot where they're going to bring it out. And so I'm looking around at all of this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, what's going to be in a yard sale? Because it's going there. It feels so good right now, and I'm buying this, and I'm excited about that, and I'm thinking everybody in here must be rich, right? No. Everybody in there is probably broke. Most people live not on 100% of their income, but like 110. It's called credit cards. And then you switch them around. Like, no interest for 6 months, I want that one. And then no interest for 6 months, I want that one. And it just keeps going and going. Nobody thinks, I don't have to do this. Nobody thinks that I could actually not be broke and I could get out of this. I remember, and God owns it all. Do you ever remember when you owned something? When it was yours, your first bicycle? Your first, I don't know, paintbrush? I don't know what you like. I owned, for the first time, it changes everything when you own it. Listen to this. I owned a 64 Falcon, midnight blue, Krager mags, 302, 3 on the column. I could keep going, okay? But it was not good until I got it. And when I got it, I washed it. I cleaned it up inside. And my daughter's about to get my car. Okay, so I was really smart with this one. It's a 03 Toyota Sequoia. And the reason I bought an 03, first of all, if she tears it up, I hadn't lost a whole lot. And the second thing is I knew she was going to drive it. But let me tell you what she said to me this week. This is what happens when you shift from just riding around in it and owning it. You think it's going to be yours. She said, this thing will be organized when I'm done. And I said, honey, all that stuff in the back is yours. We got a pocketbook here. We got a pocketbook there. We have a makeup thing. What is an Ipsy bag? Does anybody knows what that is? Okay. It's pink. It's pretty, but I don't know. I'm not even going there. Anyway, everybody, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, why do they have to pay for it for themselves? Because my daughter will go get a present for somebody. Last night, she goes to Walmart. She spent more on the decoration and the bag than the actual gift. I can't wait till she has to work. I cannot. That's good. Y'all go ahead. I am teaching. Amen. I'm speaking your language, parents. I am. Okay. That's the whole snack right there. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. My daughter said I'm saying all that wrong, so I'm going to quit right now. Or I'm going to do that. Well, God owns everything. You're not taking anything with you. No U-Haul behind a funeral. Nothing there. So jockey lot, y'all might just go ahead and say it. Jockey lot, yard sale, somebody else is going to be living in it. You got it? That's where you are. So if we're not owners and God's owners, then what do we get to do? Think about this. You say to yourself, watch this. You may say to yourself, my power and the strength of my hands have produced this wealth for me. Okay? You can take credit if you want, but it's God who gives you the ability to do so. And some of you have money. And you need to think about what you want to do with that. I think sometimes we think about, we're going to leave it to somebody or whatever. I would think like this. How do I do what I need to do while I can see it? That would be me. Because I want to help people. I want to move the kingdom. Yeah, leaving a lot of money in a place, that's good too. But I'm saying you need to think, how do I move what we need to move and what counts? But the Lord, look at this. But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth. So what do I want to do? I know that God owns it all. And I know that God wants me to do something with it. And let's talk about these things first. Let's talk about what's really going to matter. Because you're going to say it, but you're not going to be able to get there because money has taken it from you. We know that people count, and we know that moving the kingdom counts, and those are the two things that is going to last forever. We know that generation that I just saw sitting in here, when we talk about the middle and we talk about those kids, it is our job to move the next generation to the cross and them to understand what we're doing. So you would say that families first, God first, or whatever you want to say. But when you come down to it and you look at what you're doing, that's not what it's playing out to be. It's not looking like that. So if we don't own it, what do? We are the manager. Go ahead and fill that in. We're the manager of this. How much you want to manage? You ever thought about that? How much would you like to manage? I am not wealthy. But you don't have to be wealthy to have money. You don't. If you go to the 80-10-10 rule, you will have money. But what happened was you started out at 100. And now you got to make that shift. If you want to get in debt, I can get you in debt $10,000 in 5 minutes. Or more. Depends on what you want to do. But you can't save $10,000 in 5 minutes. So you have to figure out, how do I want to make this shift in what I want to do? I'm really tired of people being broke. It is sad. It is sad that we say things, hey, can you help this person, you help that, or you want to jump in? And a lot of you in your mind thinking, I have no money, I can't even think about this. And you just wish I wouldn't even talk about it. I want that to stop for you. I want you to be in on what God's up to and how you can help people. I want to fix broke for you. That's what we want to do. We are the managers of this. This is what God called us to be. We're the managers. Imagine you giving $10,000. You've probably done this to your relatives, and they told you they're going to pay it back, right? You ever give people, your family, money, and they tell you you're going to pay it back? That never happens. Never happens. Imagine God giving you $10,000, and he says for you to manage it, and you make it grow, and you help people, and the next thing he knows, you spend it on you. Do you think you're going to get any more? See, this is where you have to understand about management. You learn to manage what you have, then God lets you have more to manage. Because the idea is, it's not about you, it's about moving people to the cross. Because that's what's going to last. Your car, somebody else is going to own. I have a 99 Ford out here, it's red and got Krager mags on it. Okay? If you want to see that baby, it's right around here. Okay? But you know what? The reason I have it is because the person who had it died. And now I own it. You see how that worked? And then I painted it red and put mags on it because that's what I wanted to do. Because it's mine now. And he's in heaven. So I'm telling you, we're just borrowing stuff and managing stuff. And what you have to think about is, how do I really want to live this thing? How do I really want to move people to the cross? How do I really want my life to count? And spending all the money on you is not how it works. I love going to the golf course and paying for people's golf. I love going into the restaurant. This is the golf course and their hot dogs, just letting you know. There's not a lot of money going on here. And I say, I got everybody. And if you don't believe I do it, you ask the people that play golf with me. They know if they go with me, I'm going to pay for them. They love it. They don't need me to pay for it. It's because I love doing it. It's the most wonderful thing to give away money and to do things for people. It's the most wonderful feeling in the world not to be broke. It is wonderful. The hot dogs are the best in the world. They're only like $1 a piece. They're down there at Saluda Valley. Just throwing it out. I'm just telling you, you have to think, I own a truck that somebody else used to own. Somebody's going to own my house. What do I really want to do with what I have? That's the question. What do I really want to do with this? So you have to think. We're just stewards of this. This is where we are. Stewardship is an issue of trust. I think you don't give your money away because you're afraid you don't trust God it's going to happen for you. You just don't trust. Let me tell you what you're missing. I'm going to share a story with you. And my nose is running off today because Tom Brady is playing tonight. Hey, by the way, I didn't tell you about my jersey real quick. As a side note, just pause, okay? I bought this jersey. Y'all see this? Warner. I bought this. How long ago was this one? And I had it in my closet hanging in there, because if you wait long enough, it's going to happen. And now they're in. I don't know if they're in or not, but they're in. So let's go back to this. Let's do that. So listen, stewardship is an issue of trust. Now, this is what I want you to get a hold of, and I don't want you to miss. So here we go. We got Night to Shine coming, special needs, all coming in, and we got people, Tim Tebow's helping us, all that. Tim Tebow may be here. I do not know. I made that up. I'll text him when I leave. But here's what we do. If you do not know, here's what we do. We give away prom dresses for the guests that are going to be coming on Friday night. So they'll come in and they'll get prom dresses, and it is the most wonderful thing in the world to watch them come in and them light up, and they cry and they say, I want them all. Ugh. So they come in a couple nights ago. We had 2 participants that are going to be there, and they didn't have their sizes. So we didn't have their size of the prom dress. So here's the thought. Well, we told them, you come back the next night, we'll have your dresses. Now, how do we know that? We don't know. But we said we were going to do that. So the prayer goes out, we need dresses. So one of the ladies that's working with the prom dresses and knows about this, decides to go to the Dream Center, goes over to the Dream Center and says, here's what the deal is. Here's the sizes we need. Can you help me? And the lady says, oh, yeah, by the way. This is the part what I love where God does. By the way, we had somebody just bring in some dresses, the sizes you're looking for, and by the way, they're brand new with tags on them. Really? Yes. So the lady goes over, our lady goes over and says, that's it. Now, this isn't free. Listen very carefully. Listen very carefully. How much? Said you can have all the dresses for $100. I want to know if you would have had the $100. See, that's the question. This is why you don't want to live broke, because there's so many things that could happen to you and so many things could happen in your life. But because you're broke, you would never gone to the Dream Center. You'd have missed that. And then those ladies came back that next night and they left with 2 dresses. And guess what? There's more coming. There's things that are happening like that all the time. Because when you're broke, you can't do those things. God wants to do things with you and move the kingdom with you. I don't want you broke. You have to move away from that and get away from broke. The idea is it's about trust. It's about trust. Can God trust us? And here's what I would say. Can God trust us? Because this is a matter of the heart. And let me read this. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I don't know if you trust God, but does he trust us? Because if I'm going to drop $1 million on you today, can I trust you with $1 million? Do you have a plan for that? Do you know what to do with that? Most people say, I'll just give out of debt. And the other thing I love is I'm going to give a lot to the church. If you're not giving a lot to the church now, you're probably not going to do it when you get $1 million. It's not about the money. It's about the heart. And then you're going to say to me, this is where God comes in. He says, you're going to say, you love your family. You love your marriage. You love your children. You love your church. You love all those things. But everything you say doesn't match up with what you do with your money. The reason why you don't have time for your family is because you have to work too long for too many things. And this is what God was trying to say. He said, it's a matter of the heart, because there's a competition going on for you guys. You're trying to compete with a house and car and things, and none of that is wrong, especially when you learn to live off the 80% rule. That's not the problem. But you're saying one thing and you're doing something else. And there always will be, when you say you're committed to something, then there will always be money attached. You can't tell your fiance, I love you, and not buy a ring. See how that works. Go to the bank and say, I love this house, I want this house. They're going to ask for a commitment of money from you. And you're going to say, no, I really don't want to commit any money to it. I just want to move in. You see how that works? Oh, I really love the car. It smells so good. Can I have the car? Well, sure, you can just have the car. What about the money? You don't have to, no money, just drive away. None of that works because money and heart are attached. When you say you love something, listen very carefully. When you say you love something, that's where your money goes. We can fake commitment until the time comes to put money behind it. Where you put your money is what you really love. That's what I'm telling you. That's what God's told us. That's what I'm telling you. God trusts us. We're the managers of it, and he wants to give more of it. But if we can't handle what we got, we're going to talk about it the next few weeks. How can he give you more? I would love to give $1 million to all of you. But money is about the heart. 17 out of 38 parables in the Bible are about money. There's more verses about money than prayer and faith alone. All of this is in there. Because he's afraid, and this is what has happened. You live in America, you can have it all, and you don't really have to have the money, you just need credit. He's afraid that this is going to steal your heart. It's going to steal your life. It's going to steal your joy. It's going to steal your marriage. It's going to steal your kids. It's going to steal the kingdom. We've got to be very careful because the kingdom can't move with broke people. It can't move. There's nothing like paying for things for other people. When I moved to the 80%, I was able to help kids and Compassion International. I'm helping Shade Tree. I do Marathon. I buy stuff all the time. I give my daughter $20 the other day. They're helping the cause at school. I forgot the name of it. It'll come to me later. They were helping this cause at school. Here's how my daughter thinks, because I taught her to think like this. So she goes into the classroom, and you can buy out of a classroom. So she goes in, and the substitute teacher didn't have enough money. Can't give her change. So my daughter says, well, what do I got to do to get out of here? She said, you're going to have to buy 4 people. And guess what my daughter did? She bought 4 people. You know why? Because it wasn't her money. You see how that worked? Everything, yes. I love God. I love people. I love this. Until this happens. You look at your checkbook, you know what you love. That's what God is saying. And he is afraid that you have been stolen. What you really love has been stolen from you. Last thing, we do this. Can I trust God? This is the only place it says to test me. I'm going to tell you a story. The guy's in here. This is something I want you to think about. It says, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. That let me food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord. Now, a tithe is 10%, and broke people don't even listen to me. If you're broke, don't listen to me, because you can't do 10% of anything. You need to start with 5 or 6 or 7. I don't know what you can do. Here's what I'm telling you. There has to be a thought, an intent of the heart that I'm going to do something. You see? So the guy that I'm going to tell you the story is in here. We will have his testimony for you, and I'm going to tell it as best I can. So I'm having this conversation, and he starts telling us that he's lost his job. This is a couple of years ago. I'm going to go with that, a couple of years ago. So he begins to tell us his story about how he lost a job, couldn't find a job, that kind of thing. He wanted to come to church. He started coming to Marathon, and so one Sunday he decides that he's going to give. That's a thought, going to give something. So he decides to write a check. So he writes a check for $60. Now here was the problem with the check. There's no money in the account. Now some of you do that every week, okay? So and then you say, God help me. I know, I get it. So, but he wrote the check knowing there's no money in there. Monday morning, he gets a check in the mail for over $30,000 from a client. I just spit everywhere. From a client that he quoted a job for 2 years earlier that had decided to go with him and sent money to him to get him started. Now, here's the deal. You don't have a story because you don't trust him. That's the problem. We're going to fix broke. If we're going to fix broke, you're going to have to trust God. Because the more I give away, and don't you hate when people say this, the more I give away, the more God gives? That is absolutely true. Why don't you find out? That's what I'm trying to tell you. I was like you. I did not believe this, and I went to church. I heard this. Then I started doing it, and it started happening. But what happened most of all is God got my heart. It's not about money. It's about love for you and love for him. Marathon would have never started with broke people. That's what you have to understand. I don't want you broke. I want you to live. So we're going to fix broke. Okay? Y'all stand with me. We're going to fix broke. We're going to fix my nose by next weekend. Oh. I do want y'all to live like, get all your dreams. Write all your plans down. Make it happen. And you can do it. You live in the place. You're going to have to make some changes. You're going to have to shift some things down. You got to start thinking differently. It's not mine anyway. It's going to go away. Somebody else is going to have the truck. And I say, thank you, Bill, because I love the truck. But I'm just telling you, this is how it works. Give your life, give your money to things that will last forever and ever. Amen. Don't let anything steal your heart. That's what God tells us. Don't let anything do it. Let's pray together. Father, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for the people in this room. We do not want to be broke. Teach us to manage it. I know you'll send more of it. Help us to give it away. Help us to love people and love you. So, Father, as we walk into this series, give us the wisdom, the understanding. Help us to begin to think about what you would do with our money. And this morning, the ultimate trust is that, do you know Jesus Christ? So this morning, if you'd like to accept Jesus Christ in your life, you can do this. You're watching right now on the internet. You can do this right where you are. Pray this prayer with me. Jesus, I ask that you come into my life and change me and make me a new person. I want to follow you. I ask that you forgive me of my sin. Forgive me for not following you sooner. I believe you died for me. I believe you rose from the dead. Thank you for hearing my prayer and changing my life forever. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. If you accepted Christ this morning, people will be on the outside. They'll be holding up books. We'd love to pray with you and talk with you. And I hope that you're going to like this because we're going to fix it. We're going to fix broke. We're going to do things in your life you didn't think were possible. So stick with me, okay? And go Rams? No? Patriots? All right. See y'all next week. Oh, yeah, by the way, this is the thought.